I would say Nyasha is someone that is hardworking, is resilient. I am a woman of faith, very passionate, creative. I got a job in a salon where this woman had seen me like years back and she'd asked me who did my hair. I worked in her shop and one of my first ever clients was the Newcastle United captain.
Yeah.
Like all of my clients are so sweet. So if any of them are watching, they're so lovely, and I would not ask for better set of clients.
It's building a business and a brand such as you have. It's not easy. It comes with challenges, sacrifices. So tell us, what were the hardest challenges you faced when you started out?
I like to see the best in things. I think my friends say that I'm like sickeningly optimistic. So no matter how bad things get, I see rejection as an opportunity to like either refine and fine tune and then find a different way to do it. So I never see things as failure. I see it as an opportunity to learn and to grow. And it's not easy. Every single person to read, because you're getting knowledge from other people who've experienced different things or even something similar. But it's like you've got the blueprint and a map to navigate certain situations if you're willing to open your mind. And I think I've become very open-minded. Africans, to the core, I think if we don't have our faith, sometimes feel like we have nothing else. So even growing up as Africans, we've faced a lot of hardships and a lot of challenges. And I think if we didn't have our faith, we probably would have just fell apart.
Legacy, you just talked about legacy. So what do you want to be remembered for in the longest run?
I want to be remembered for...
It's the African possibility. Your narrative starts now. Your narrative starts now. Welcome to the podcast.
My guest today is Nyasha, a Zimbabwean-born entrepreneur, creative, and woman of faith, whose journey demonstrates what can happen when talent meets discipline, courage, and purpose. Nyasha moved to the United Kingdom at the age of 6 and later taught herself how to braid by observing hairstylists and refusing to stop until she mastered the craft. What she initially regarded as a simple hobby eventually became Ace of Braids, a respected beauty brand that has attracted clients from across the United Kingdom, including professional footballers and other high-profile personalities. She is also the visionary behind Grace Beauty, a Newcastle-based salon designed to offer more than a hairstyle. But behind the visibility, beautiful salon, and growing reputation is a much deeper story of faith, sacrifice, and resilience. Nyasha has navigated long working hours, business uncertainty, leadership pressure, mental health struggles, and the trauma of running a salon while both of her parents were seriously ill. In this conversation, she speaks openly about the sermon that pushed her to take her talent seriously, the mistakes that taught her how to build proper systems, and her determination to use business as a vehicle for service, community, and positive change. This is not merely a conversation about hair. It is a conversation about identity, entrepreneurship, African excellence, and trusting that even the smallest gift can become something extraordinary when it is developed with faith and consistency. So settle in and let's get into it.
If you are enjoying these conversations, I will just enjoin you to take a second to subscribe to the African Possibility podcast. Because when you do that, you're helping us bring authentic African stories. And guess what? It is free. So you who's watching me now, please subscribe. Yes, I mean you. Just subscribe. It's absolutely free. And then click on the notification bell. So when we drop these stories, it comes straight to you. Thank you very much.
So if someone is listening to you for the first time, who will you describe Nyasha as?
I always struggle when people ask me that question.
Yeah.
I would say Nyasha is someone that is hardworking. I've seen myself to be someone that is resilient. I am a woman of faith, so everyone that knows me, I think the one thing, one of my friends used to call me, she used to call me the evangelist in the beauty industry, because anytime I would speak to someone, the first thing I would start talking about was God. I am someone that is very passionate, creative, and yeah, I just go for what I want.
Yeah. So let me take it from the part of the faith aspect. I've sat with a couple of guests and excuse me, and a couple of Africans, and a good number of Africans, I'll say. A couple of my guests. We seem to have this spirituality as a part of our Africanness? Do you think it's excuse me, do you think it's an African thing or is mostly individual?
I would say so, because I think, especially as Africans, to the core, I think if we don't have our faith, sometimes we feel like we have nothing else. So even growing up, I was always raised to believe that God is at the center. And I think as Africans, we've faced a lot of hardships and a lot of challenges. And I think if we didn't have our faith, we probably would have just fell apart.
And you came here when you were 6 years from Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And how has that shaped you?
I think, especially coming here at a young age, the school I went to, there was no Black people in my school. I think there was like 2 Black people. So I always did feel not like an outcast, but it was always just like, there wasn't a place where I could fully fit in, especially even when it came to hair. But then in high school, the one thing I'll actually be so grateful for, our teachers really were supportive of the like ethnic minorities. So I think especially growing up in the school that I did go to, they were really pushing for creativity because I went to performing arts school. So they were like, we can see that you're creative, especially hair. I think for prom, I got an award for the craziest hairstyle. So they were always pushing us to be creative. But I think that helped sort of shape the person that I am and pushed me to pursue my dreams.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so kudos to your teachers back then. And so when you moved, excuse me, from Zimbabwe, you came in from Zimbabwe at the age of 6. What do you think were some of the values, if you can still remember, the values from Zimbabwe that has stayed with you till now, that has shaped the woman you've become?
I don't think I can fully remember. I think what I can remember is because I've gone back home a lot anyways. So I think it was going home that really inspired me, because that's even how I started the business that I've got. So I went home, I think I was 16. And all of my family, they were just telling like my mum, they were like, your daughter, like either our niece or our cousin, like she's so talented and she's in a country where there's so many opportunities, you can really push yourself. And I think being surrounded by a family that was so supportive, and they were telling me that if God has given you a talent, you should use it, you should pursue it. And especially if you're in an environment that allows you to pursue that talent, why not take it? So every time I'd go home, and then when I'd go to like salons in Zimbabwe, I was seeing how they had everything in one building, and it's something I'd never seen in the UK before. So I'd know that if you went to one salon, you'd have to go somewhere else, and you'd have to go somewhere else. And that was the first time I'd seen like such a multifunctional salon that had nails, it had lashes. So every time I'd go home, I'd be so excited because I'm like, what can I learn from the culture? How are they doing business there? And I think it just encouraged me to be more open-minded, but be more grateful for the fact that I am in a country where there's so many opportunities. So every time I'd go home, I'd see how the people valued even the little that they have. So every time I'd go home, I'd see how if they had electricity, they would see it as this big thing. If they had, and I was just like, how can I be in a country where I've got access to so many things and not use it? So I think that's what inspired me to just think bigger when I would go see just how grateful they were for the life that they've got. And I'm like, I've got a chance here to do something big, so I may as well use it.
Great. So you've got a lot of influence from back at home. I'm going. When was the last time you went to Zimbabwe?
I think 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So if you you started braiding, you taught yourself rather
Yes.
how to braid at the age of 14, right?
I think I was young because my mum used to tell me that since I was a kid, I used to love drawing. So it's in school, like art was my thing. So she was like, since I was maybe like 2, 3, I would like scribble in her Bible, or I'd be like braiding my dolls.
Yeah.
And then I think I was maybe 10. Like one of my friends asked me to do French braids on her, and she had Caucasian hair. So I tried doing it. She was like, you can do that. And then I would just watch hairstylists every time I'd go get my hair done. I would just watch them, and then I'd go home, I'd put back a braid in. But I think, I was like 13, 14. One summer I just woke up, I was like, the braids I was getting done would just fall out. So I was like, let me see if I can do it. So I literally spent, I think it was the 6 weeks holidays. It took me 6 weeks to do the braids because I would just do like one a day.
On yourself?
Yeah. So I just kept practicing. And then I was like, oh, I can do this. And I started to enjoy it. So from there, I just continued to braid my own hair.
So at what point did you realize that this is just beyond me? This is bigger than me now. I need to do something.
I think that's where the testimony came in. Yeah. So I think, 13, 14 is when I started. And then there's one friend that I've got, Sophie, she was like my best friend. She's the one person I'll always give credit to because she used to look at me, she was like, you're so talented. So she used to go to like different salons and she'll tell them, my friend can do hair. And I think it was like even during prom, she got me a job in a salon. She was like, make the money. So then I've got that job, use the money to make my dress. But I didn't think what I was doing was a skill. So every time she would take me to a different salon, I'd be like, I don't want to do this. She'll take me somewhere else. I was like, I don't want to do it. Friends would come and ask me. I'm like, I don't know how to do hair. So I didn't want to do other people's hair. And then it's that time when I was 16, when I went back to Zimbabwe, and then all of my family were telling me and my mum, they're like, she's so talented. So to go to uni, I'd wanted to study, I think it was either like psychology or something, because I'm interested in how the mind works. And I was just like, I don't see myself going to uni or like getting into a lot of debt for a subject that I'm not 100% passionate about career-wise. So I remember I was in church, and I'll never forget, I was in church and the pastor was talking about there's the parable of the sowers, and the king gave them like talents, well, like coins, and he sent them off and he was like, you do what you need to do, but one day obviously I'm going to ask for them back. So I think the first person went and invested it, came back with double, the second person did the same. Then the third person hid it in the ground because he thought it was so valuable. So then our pastor was like, that's like God, he's given so many people talent. One day he's going to come back and ask it for you. And if you don't use it, he'll give it to someone else. And I remember just thinking, everyone keeps telling me this hair thing is a talent, but is it? And I stood up and I gave a testimony and I was like, okay, I'm meant to go to uni. I think it was like 2 months later. I was like, I'm not going to go to uni. God's given me this talent, which at the time I genuinely did not think was a talent. So I was like, let's see where God can take me with this talent. And then literally, I think it was a month later, I got a job in a salon where this woman had seen me like years back and she'd asked me who did my hair. I worked in her shop and one of my first ever clients was the Newcastle United captain. And I was like, okay, God, I see that, we're slowly getting there. But again, I didn't fully enter my head that this is what I'm doing and God is actually carrying me. So I would still have like other jobs. I was working at the assembly rooms. I was working like so many different jobs. And I was like, but God, if you said you're going to provide for me, why am I working other jobs? This hair job should provide double. It should provide what any other job should do. And then I think it was 2019, I was like, okay, God, if you could give me these footballer clients when I'm not even putting in 10%, what would happen if I gave 100%, you put your 100% on top? And that's when I started like really being serious.
All right. So take us back to the very beginning of Ace of Braids, or it was House of Ace first?
No, it was always Ace of Braids.
Ace of Braids.
Yes.
So take us to the very beginning. What was the vision and what were you trying to create with it when you set it up? And then at what point did you realize that, look, I need to do this beyond friends and family?
So it was that year, I think, because I don't think I'd called it Ace of Braids yet. So it was in 2019 and I was working at Maiden Gaze Barbershop. So everyone was talking about it. They're like, you do footballers, you do these people's hair. And again, I was like, yeah, but it's just a hobby. But like in the back of my head, I kept remembering, I was like, but you stood up and said you're going to take this seriously. So then it was one of my friends, he just came to me and was like, why not Ace of Braids? Like Ace of Spades, but Ace of Braids because you really know what you're doing. And then I think I decided to buy equipment to take content, started posting on social media, because I was just like, if I've managed to get to this point without putting in that much effort, I wanted more of a space where each time I would do someone's hair, I would see how they felt. And I would see like the emotion and the joy on their face. And I was like, I get to create that. So why not keep doing it, but at a different standard? Not just you come in, I take your money, you go. Because in the beginning, it wasn't even about the money. I just didn't want to do it. I was just like, I don't want to do it. Hobby. Yeah. So even when people were like, I'll pay you extra, I was like, I don't actually care. But then the more I kept doing it, the more I was like, I enjoy speaking to people. And again, I wanted to do psychology. What I'd been doing in sixth form in college, I was now actually able to use that because as I'm speaking to people, it's like I'm a therapist. People tell me their problems. So I was able to still go down that route without having to go to uni. So I was like, everything was just working together.
Yeah. So building a business and a brand such as you have is not a glamorous, it's not easy. It comes with challenges, sacrifices. So tell us, what were the earliest challenges you faced when you started out?
I think outside people didn't believe in me. So it was like my friends who were really, really like pushing for me to do it. But everyone else, and I remember people used to be like, oh, you still do that hair thing? And it would like, they would look at me with pity because doing hair at the time, it wasn't like a glamorous job. So people always saw that people that did hair, which I really didn't like the stigma, but it was girls who didn't have GCSEs or they didn't like have good qualifications. And I remember I used to be like, I was top of my class. I did really, really well. Like I've got the qualifications. I just chose to do what I was passionate about. But yeah, a lot of people did not believe in me until I reached a certain level. But at the beginning, they would just look at it like, oh, bless you. And it was literally just the support of my family, like my really close friends that just kept pushing me. And I was just like, I would work like 14 hours a day every single day, but it was still something that people would not look at and be like, oh, wow, you're doing amazing. They thought I was probably doing something else or like selling drugs or something. And I was like, but I'm actually doing hair. And you can see that I'm in the shop 14 hours a day. But it took a long while for people to actually then get to a point where they're like, okay, let's be supportive. But I think that was probably the only challenge I had in the beginning because God had kind of just paved the way. And he was like, I'm waiting for you. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, so in 2021, you formally registered
Yes.
Ace of Braids. So what did that teach you about responsibility at that early stage?
It made sure that one, I had to get an accountant. So I was like, I need to make sure that I've got an accountant, I've got my books in order. I had to make sure that all the little things were done properly. So I think at the time I had a few brands who did want to work with me, but I was like, do I have business insurance? Do I have any way to like legally protect myself, protect my clients? So I had to really think like a businesswoman instead of just taking it as a hobby. I had to make sure all of my stuff was registered. So then if anything comes back to me, I'm still accountable. I've got records. But yeah.
So who taught you all of those little nitty-gritty?
I just taught myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So a lot of creatives out there want to set up businesses, want to set up like a formal place to do things like you're doing right now. But it comes with a lot of challenges. So what do you think they can do to overcome some of those barriers?
I think one, have the right support system. That's one thing that I've continued to keep saying, that if you have the right people in your circle, because a lot of the moments where I just felt like I couldn't do it anymore, it was because of my support system. They're the ones that kept carrying me. They're the ones that kept championing me. But I think also your mindset. One thing I really started doing, I think it was in 2019, I started reading a lot. So there was a lot of books. There was a book called Never Get Angry Again. I'm not an angry person. I never was. But I realized if you're working in customer service, you need to understand how to relate with people. You need to know how to keep your cool. You need to learn to not take offense at stuff that people are saying. So I think I just bought like 20 different books. I started reading because I used to enjoy reading anyways. So I put a lot of knowledge. So when something happened, I think I'd have that insight to be able to navigate it a little bit easier. Not that challenges won't put you down, but I think if you have the right support system within yourself as well, it makes it a little bit easier, and then knowing where to go to get help. And I've learned that it's okay to ask for help, because as Black people, we do not ask for help.
Yeah. So I mean, talking about these young creatives or creatives out there who still want to set up their own business ventures and all of that, what were the business lessons you learned early enough and in the hard way? Some of those lessons you learned by mistakes.
I think when I first started, I didn't used to have like a good organized system. So when clients would come in, this is when I was really unserious. I'd be like, you can come in on Wednesday, you can come in on Wednesday, you can come in on Wednesday. Then I'd have like 10 people coming on Wednesday at the exact same time. Like, what are you guys doing here? They're like, we've got an appointment. I was like, when did I do that? So I would just literally just be telling people. And then I was like, I need a booking site. I need a system that works. And then even now, I'm seeing that my booking system needs a little bit more refining, because again, you're dealing with people. So you want to give them the best experience. But I would say, don't invest too much too quick either. That's one thing I didn't do, but I've seen people do as well. It's okay to start off slow. So I always say, walk before you start running. As much as you can have a big vision, it's good to have the end goal. But if you're just constantly looking at the end goal, you struggle to see the gap in between. You have to literally take it one step at a time and not move too quickly. And then everything eventually starts flowing together.
Yeah, that's interesting. You've attracted very high profile clients, Newcastle footballers, and guests from London. Scotland, different places. Now, what has that taught you about visibility and, basically visibility?
I think I think when people see that you have someone that is high profile, everyone now wants to come to you because you've done this person or you know this person. So I think it really did help in a huge, huge way. And again, the fact that God gave me my first client was a footballer, and I think he'd scored a header and everyone was sending me videos like, you did this person's hair and they're now scoring, and then someone else came along. And I think everyone just wants to naturally be in a place where there's a celebrity or someone that is well known, because then you feel like you've managed to be around that person as well. But I think it has really, really helped, especially in terms of visibility.
Right. So still on that, a lot of people see that. They see the visibility, they see all of those glamour and all the accolades you've received. What is it that they do not see behind the business, the sacrifices?
I think, because it's something I've spoken about a lot, even on my business page, because one thing I think I said to you is like, I did not want anyone to look at me like I'm this person that's up here, or they're like, you're so lucky. I'm like, I'm a human being. And I think people forget that if you're someone who has put in a lot of work, they see the end result, but they don't see that you're actually a human being that gets tired, that feels pain. I struggled a lot with my mental health behind the scenes in terms of sacrifice. I'd spoken about on my channel, my mum had a stroke when I first opened my first salon, which was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through, but clients didn't see that. So I would have her in hospital. My dad was also in hospital because he had brain injury. And that was issue within the first 6 months of opening the salon. So I'd have like maybe 6 clients that day. And it's just me and my sister in the UK, so we didn't have any family. So I would go to the hospital, see one parent, come back, do a client, go to another hospital, come back. And I remember having clients who'd be like, but I need my hair done. And I'm like, but I'm hanging on because I don't know if my parents are going to make it. So I'm literally juggling a salon, 2 parents running back and forth. And it was in that time where I saw that it's really sad that sometimes as humans, it wasn't all my clients, it was maybe even 1 or 2%. But I was like, are we that lacking in humanity that we're so self-centered that you're not seeing that? I understand that I'm a businesswoman, but I was like 23. I'm like, I'm still a child. I'm still navigating, and I'm trying to build a business, which is my first time doing. But family to me is the most important thing. So clients were not seeing behind the scenes that I could come in and I'm so exhausted. And if I'm not smiling, they're like, she's giving me a bad service. But I'm like, I was at the hospital until 2 a.m. Like, people aren't seeing all that stuff, but they continuously expect you to show up, which I'm like is valid. But again, I'm still a human being. You can't expect someone to be 110% every single day, especially if they're going through something traumatic.
Yeah. I've seen some clips in the salon on your Instagram page of maybe stubborn, if I'll use that word, stubborn clients. Like, no, that's not my hair. It's not my hair. You've done this to my hair. Yeah, tell me a bit about that.
It's not a lot of clients, like genuinely my clients are lovely. Like all of my clients are so sweet. So if any of them are watching, they're so lovely. And I would not ask for a better set of clients. But the 1 or 2, I've had some clients that can be very, very difficult. They'll be like, I want my hair done a specific way. I'm like, I get that I'm a hairdresser and I can be a magician to an extent, but there's some stuff that I'm like, give me something to work with. And some people are just like, nope, I want it done like this. And trying to explain to someone that's already made up their mind, that's what I learned. I'm just like, and I think even my facial expressions in my videos, people know that I think I've reached a certain level of calmness where I'll just look at you, I'm like, okay. And they'll be getting angry and I'm like, okay, no problem. And my face is just straight and people are like, how do you keep such a straight face? So I'm like, I can't go crazy. What else can you do?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so have you realized that silence is golden, or silence has got a power?
All of my friends know I'm the worst person to argue with because I'll just look at you. I will not react, because the more I give you a reaction, you're not going to hear what I'm saying. You're just now feeding back into it. So even with clients, I will be as polite as possible, because at the end of the day, if I now react, I'm stressing myself out. Now we're both stressed out. But if I can see that you're going crazy, I'll just leave you to go crazy by yourself, because what else can I do?
Yeah. So have there been moments when you felt really overwhelmed and pressured and you thought of giving up everything?
Yeah, I think I've had a few moments like that, but especially when I opened my current salon, I think it was in January. I even made a joke. I was like, I'll sell it on Facebook Market, because I was so ready. And I think it just...
Was that for real or you were joking?
No, I was being serious. Because I think with the second salon, the first salon, it was already hard. But the second one, I think there was so much flooding with the property. So I got it last June. I didn't open until December because it kept flooding. I had to keep redoing the floors. I had to keep redoing everything. And again, I'm looking after my mum and dad. I've got all of these clients. I was just like, it's too much. I literally felt like I was reaching a point where I was losing my mind. And I was just like, I don't think I can do this anymore. But eventually there was light at the end of the tunnel. But that period was, I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Happy days. So it's good at least you didn't give up.
Yeah.
And I would say God had always been by you. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So what has failure, rejection, and disappointment taught you in this journey?
I think it's taught me that at the end of the day, everything always works out. So I used to always say, at the end of the day must end.
Yeah.
And every time if I've had a bad day or something happens, I'm like, at the end of the day must end, because nothing carries on unless you allow it to keep carrying on. But I think with each challenge, again, it's taught me how resilient I am, how much I like to see the best in things. I think my friends say that I'm like sickeningly optimistic. So no matter how bad things get, I see rejection as an opportunity to like either refine and fine tune and then find a different way to do it. So I never see things as failure. I see it as an opportunity to learn and to grow. And it's not easy, but now I see it more as a challenge. So if something happens that didn't work out, I'm like, okay, great. How can I do it a different way? How can I learn? And yeah, I've just started seeing it as a good thing.
Do you still read?
Yeah. I literally bought, I think, like 2 books
Recently?
the other week. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So have all of these readings contributed in
100%.
making you who you are today?
Yeah. That's why I always recommend every single person to read, because you're getting knowledge from other people who've experienced different things or even something similar. But it's like you've got the blueprint and a map to navigate certain situations if you're willing to open your mind. And I think I've become very open-minded because I don't know it all at all. So if I can learn from someone else, whatever little insights that they've got, it just makes the journey that little bit easier.
Oh, great. So how has leading a team, serving clients and maintaining standards, as well as protecting your mental health, taught you in this? How has that helped you in your journey thus far?
I think, to be very honest, I don't think it's protected my mental health at all. I think it's one of the things that really, really affected my mental health, but it did teach me how to navigate certain situations, especially leading a team. With my first salon, I had about 8 girls. That was a lot, especially, and because I think they were all older than I was as well. And I was like, I've got no experience in leading. So it was just trial and error. But the thing I really appreciate about the girls is like, we're like a family. So I've learned that we should have open communication. We can be able to come and ask each other questions, speak to each other in a certain way. And I think it makes it easier. When you're open and honest, I think people had always taught me at first, be like a brutal leader. Don't be friends with your staff, which I'm like, there's certain boundaries you should have in place. But I think if you're too hard, again, people don't see you as a human being. I think people relate easier when they see that softer human side of you. And if you can show the moments where you can be vulnerable, you're more relatable, but you still obviously have that boundary where they know that, okay, this is the person that is the leader, this is her salon. But I think we have a very good way of speaking to each other, and it's helped a lot.
So do you have more staff now?
No, I cut it down. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah, I cut it down. But I think now, I just cut down by like 3 or 4. But then more people keep coming. They're like, can we come work here? I'm like, no, guys. Not now.
Yeah. So when people see Nyasha, all they see is success. You know, they see the glamour around you, they see the accolades, they see all of that. So are there challenges you are currently going through that you would like to share, so people know that in business, it's not always about the bright side?
The challenges, it's more behind the scenes, like again, admin, making sure. There was one of my friends, I was teaching her that when it comes to running a business, you have to think 10 steps ahead. So my mind is constantly on. I'm constantly thinking, okay, tomorrow, if clients don't turn up, do I have this in place? Tomorrow, if this girl doesn't have a client, do I have the products in? My bills are due on this day. So it's having a system that your mind is constantly, you have to think 10 steps ahead. So I'm like, if a client comes in, make sure they have a good experience, because if they have a bad experience, it leaves a bad review. How do I now handle receiving a bad review? How do I handle people not being happy at their appointment if that's ever a case? But I can't relax, not fully. My mind is always constantly on. So even when I'm coming to work, sometimes I might not look as happy, and then people are thinking, she should be happy. But behind the scenes, there's a lot that my mind is just thinking that I need to make sure that the business is operating. And if I'm not doing that, then that's even more stress.
Wow. So were there times when you doubted yourself, questioned your dreams, and thought, isn't this too big for me? I'm that little Nyasha.
I think even up until now, like I'm being serious. When people are like, you're Ace of Braids, I'm like, how do you know me? Like, where do you know me from? And I think, again, it's my friends who continuously tell me who I am, because to me, I was just like, yeah, but I just do hair. So when people are seeing it as this, like this big thing, or they're like, but you do this, I'm like, yeah, but it's literally just me doing hair. And I think one of my friends, she was like, oh, you're so humble. I was like, I don't think you understand. I don't even think I know that I'm a real person. So whenever I'm looking at people, they're like, you're Ace of Braids. I'm like, no, I'm just Nyasha. Like, I'm just Nyasha that braids hair, then I go home and go about my day.
Yeah. So if you look at yourself today, what has all of these challenges taught you about self-belief, about faith, and about resilience?
I think it has taught me again that whatever I have put my mind to, I've always achieved. No matter how hard life has gotten, it's taught me that God is always good. No matter whether life is good, life is bad, God always comes through. So as long as you actually believe in your heart, there'll always be a way. And I think in terms of resilience, it's just always taught me that I can keep going. Even when I feel like I don't have strength anymore, there's always that little bit extra. But I've also learned to give myself grace, that I don't have to always be 100 all the time. And if I have a bad day, it's actually okay to have a bad day and to just pick up tomorrow.
Yeah. So in House of Ace, you've talking about going to study psychology in the uni. You've been able to speak to people, speak to your clients and customers. And so in doing that, what do you think is the bigger vision for House of Ace of Braids?
I think I want people to, because I think I said this at the Afri ball, that I'm like, your hair basically creates your identity. Like, you could be dressed nice, but if your hair does not look nice, you will not feel good. You won't like the way that you're even presenting yourself. But I want every single person to see just how beautiful they are outside of how they look, but internally. And I think, especially with the way society is now, I think there is positivity, but not to the core that you really feed into people. And I've always wanted to create a space where people feel safe, where people are able to come in. So even in the salon, like, we've got like little writings on the wall, like little affirmations, because one, if I hadn't spoken that much life into myself, or the people around me hadn't, I don't think I'd be the woman that I am today. So if I could give people even just a tiny bit of what I got given to me, then my purpose is complete, to be honest.
Well, that's interesting. So we've talked earlier about the fact that you've got customers from across England. People come from London, Scotland, and other very far places. What do you think that has to do with trust in a business and in a brand?
I think it's like, every time I've seen it, it's been very humbling. So I'm like, you don't know me, but you've trusted me enough to travel from such a far distance. But I think it shows who your character is, I guess, at the end of the day. Because I've seen hairstylists that do really good hair, but sometimes clients won't travel that far. And I remember at the beginning, I would like to say, I don't think my work was that good. Genuinely, I think people might say it was that good, but I think I was like, I could always improve and do better. But I think when clients would turn up, I would always try my best to just be as human as possible, that it's not just an appointment. It's an opportunity to chit chat. It's an opportunity to get to know each other. And that's why with my social media, I try to have a lot of me in front of the camera. So then if people can see how I'm relating with other clients, they're more likely to be like, okay, I think I can trust you, because you're not out to just get my money. You want to give me an experience. And I think that's what's important.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you've been involved with advocacy and community works and all of that. Why do you think entrepreneurs need to get deeply involved in community and advocacy? And in your case, say maybe gender-based advocacy?
Because I think the community is a big part of your business. Like, if you're not part of the community and people can't really speak to you or relate to you, or they don't see that you have the same values as them, or you're willing to.
Some people don't care. They just go to the shops or set up their business to and get out.
But I think if you just want to make money, then fair enough. But I think if you want to actually create either a legacy or something that is deeply rooted within the community, then you have to be part of the community. If you're just going to make your money, I think people can see that. But if you're willing to speak up for people that can't speak up for themselves, even if those clients don't come to you, they'll either send someone else that comes to you. But even if they don't, again, I think my purpose is, if God has blessed me, I should be able to give that blessing back. Even if it doesn't come back to me, I've still done my purpose, because I'll still be able to sleep peacefully at night.
Yeah. But I believe that whatever we give, we get. Yeah. So if you give good, it comes back to you. Sometimes double or triple.
Exactly. It might take 10 years. It might even take however long. But I always believe that whenever you do good, your heart is clean anyways.
It comes back. And if you do bad, it comes back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Times 2.
Yeah, or more. So talking about legacy, you just talked about legacy. So what do you want to be remembered for in the longest run?
I want to be remembered for, one, definitely my faith. But I think just the fact that I used to always be like, I want to heal the world one head at a time. So if I could just impact one person's life, for that person to see that they matter, that God loves them, and they can achieve whatever they want to achieve, and then be able to now go forward and then do something similar, or start opening businesses that are giving back to the Black community. Because again, the African community is really underserved. There's a lot of stuff that you could be doing, that you could be giving back. And I don't know why it hasn't come about yet, but if I could even influence one person to pursue their dreams, then we've got multiple salons. Because my salon, and maybe even a few other salons, we shouldn't have a handful of salons in Newcastle. We should have multiple salons that people can go to. And if I could encourage one person to do that and then continue to take it on, then yeah.
But some other person may not see it that way. They may say, I don't want any competition. I want to be the only house of Ace of Braids.
But again, I think there's enough food for everyone to eat. And I think, like we said, if one thing my pastor told me is that if your hand is closed like that, you can't give, but you can't receive either, because your hand is closed. So if you want to just make money, it'll be coming into your hand, but it's not open enough for more to come back to you. So I think if you have a mindset that, let me give, in a way that obviously it's still going to benefit your business, but if it is just, I'm going to focus on my business and just do me, you might still succeed. But I think when you're more open-minded, you'll meet one person that could invest in your business, and then you've now opened like 10 salons. But I think if you're willing to work with other people, be part of the community, that's way more beneficial than just, I'm going to do this for myself.
Yeah. You know, the Dead Sea is called the Dead Sea because it takes in all the sea water, comes into it. It doesn't give out. That's why it's called the Dead Sea. And because all this different sea from different tributaries go into it, it's so salty that anything that goes into it is dead. Nothing survives in there. So if you don't give out, literally,
you're literally killing yourself, because you're just taking, but there's no outlet.
Yeah. So when we talk about African possibility, what do you think that is, especially as a diasporan and as a Zimbabwean in the UK?
I think as soon as you said possibility, my mind just thinks anything is possible. But I think especially as African people, we are very talented, we are very skilled, we're very open-minded, but I think we allow sometimes stuff outside to limit us. But I think if you know the power that you have within, anything in life is possible.
Anything in life?
Anything.
Yeah, interesting. So we've got a lot of creatives who think that, well, it's not as easy as that. Well, not to downplay the place of all the challenges people go through, especially maybe trying to set up a business here and all of that, you know. So what would you say to such creatives who think it is not possible, it is difficult, I don't have the same privileges or opportunities? I
think, because I've spoken to people like who think like that as well, like even like some family and friends, they're always like, yeah, but you had this, and I was like, but I didn't. All I had literally was my faith and my mind. So I was speaking to someone yesterday actually where I was like, I think from reading the books that I've read, being around the people that I've been around, my thing has always been, if that person can be successful and a millionaire, why can't I? Regardless of their circumstances, I'm like, if one person can do it, then surely I should be able to do it as well. And I think, again, it's not to dismiss the challenges, because I've been through it. But with every single challenge, I've just seen that it is possible. And I think, again, when it came to reading, I really realized that whatever you feed your mind can't tell the difference between what you're thinking by thought alone and what you're actually experiencing. So if you're to tell your mind every single day that I'm a millionaire, your mind is going to start looking for possibilities that's going to allow you to become a millionaire. But if you tell your mind I'm a failure, every little thing that you see is going to be confirmation that you're a failure. So I think if you start off with a mind that is so strong that nothing's going to shake you, anything that comes your way, you're going to see that as a positive. You're going to see that as another avenue. And there was a book that I read that was called 10 Times is Better Than 2 Times, that if you dream so big, you have to eliminate every other like small possibility to get, because if the dream is that big, there's only a few avenues to get there. So you now filter out all the other noise. And if you're like, I'm going to be a millionaire, how are you going to be a millionaire? You can't be a millionaire by working 15 hours a day, because it's not fully going to work. So if you're working 15 hours a day, now cut it down. Use the money that you're making, invest it into something else that can make your money in another way. Find another avenue. You start filtering it out and thinking. You start working smarter instead of having to constantly work harder. So that's why I'm always like, I love to dream big, because it challenges my mind to look outside the box and to see different opportunities without going down the traditional work every single hour in the day. Because I'm like, that's not feasible. It doesn't work. So again, I think it just comes down to the belief that you have in yourself and what you're capable of achieving.
Yeah. Now, you didn't go to uni to study psychology, and you've had mates who went to the uni to study all sort of courses. And trust me, there are a lot of graduates who have not read a book after graduation. I don't know if you've heard that. Mm-hmm. Like, there are people who, some people have said it, like, since I left school, I've not read a book. Mm-hmm. But you've gone on to read, and you've recently bought some few books, and you still read. Uh-huh. So what has that got to do with business in terms of building a brand?
I think, again, it teaches you what other business people know. So there was, I think the first 2 books was Never Get Angry Again. And then there's this one called Get Rich, Lucky, Be, which she was talking about, obviously, setting goals for your business, how to think like a business person. Because if you're in an industry where you have no information, you can just wing it, but you do need some sort of input from someone else that's done it, and they've got like all of the information that you can get, which just makes the journey a little bit easier. But again, like I said, when you read, you're just filling your mind with so much knowledge. You might not use it today, but you could use it in 10 years' time, and you'll remember, oh, I read this from a book. And then when you start applying it and you start seeing results, your mind will naturally just start thinking for you anyway. So some of the stuff that I did, it wasn't from books. It was just my mind looking at it like, okay, if I put 2 and 2 together, maybe I can create this, maybe I can create that. And then when you start seeing things happen, it just kind of keeps the ball rolling, and then you're able to think even bigger. But definitely you need knowledge outside of yourself, because we don't know it all, especially when it comes to business and working with people.
Okay, so when do you find the time to read those books? Because I've seen the videos, like sometimes you come to the House of Ace of Braids as early as 7 sometimes, or 8.
I think I'll be there like 9 till maybe 10, exactly. 11, 12. But I think if I have a break, I can read. My weekends, I don't work weekends. If I'm traveling, I'll just sit and read. But every time, because when I first started, that's when I used to read. Like I could finish a book in a day. But even now, if I've got time, I'll sit and read. If I've got the day off, I'll sit and read. Even if I'm doing someone's hair, I'll sit and read. And if it's not reading, I'll listen to a podcast. I think what I started doing more was podcasts. Yeah. So if I'm driving to work, I'll have a podcast. If I'm in the gym, there's a podcast. Even in the salon, I'll have a podcast. I'll have a preaching. I'll have gospel music. Because the one thing I've said, my mind is so precious that I need to constantly be adding fuel. Because if not, you'll burn out as soon as you walk out the door. The world we live in is so depressing. So if you're not filling your mind with the right substances, it's, I don't want to say hopeless because that sounds so bleak, but you need to be empowering yourself.
I agree with you. I agree with the word hopeless. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, if you don't remain positive, you're likely to become hopeless. Mm-hmm. And that accounts for the kind of pressure we see young people having today, because there's nothing positive going in to them. Someone said that some of the guys in prison were once told by their parents that someday you will end in prison.
And you know the power of the tongue, whatever you speak is exactly what will manifest. And people don't realize it. It can take a small word. And if you don't challenge it, you'll say, okay, that's what was spoken over my life. And you'll do things to fulfill that.
Yeah. So it's necessary to keep the mind positive, read books, listen to podcasts, or listen to some preaching or anything that just moves you to remain positive. Yes, I was going to ask you, why is your faith so important to you? You are a young woman, and what you will naturally see for people your age will be the opposite. I'm sure you've got friends who are not very comfortable with your
Actually,
faith.
no, that's the one thing that I'll say I thank God for. I think if you're very confident in what you believe in, no one can because I think everyone that knows me, they'll say, yeah, she believes in God. But even all of my friends, I thank God, gave their life to God. So I had friends at first, even clients, they'd be like, I'll never believe in God. I'm an atheist. I was like, that's fair enough. I won't force you, but I'll just tell them my life experiences. And then I think two came back to me. One texted me, he's like, I've been going to church, I got baptized, I gave my life to God. Because I think sometimes in this life, it's easier to have something to believe in outside of yourself. Because again, if you look outside, it is very dark. But I think my faith came a lot from my mum. Because when she had her stroke, I remember she was in the hospital. The doctors were like, she'll never speak again. She'll never walk again. Within, I think, 2 weeks, she was walking and talking. And she was like to me, she was like, because I remember that time I was really angry at God because I didn't understand it. I was like, this is a woman that I've seen my whole life
Serving you.
talk about God, tell everyone about God, and you allowed this to happen to her. And I never understood it. And I think always, I'd always be like, I'll understand why God let this happen. With that, I could not understand it. And I remember she came to me, she's like, we're going to write people letters in the hospital. Like, so all the people that were in the ward with her, she was like, let's write them a letter and tell them that Jesus loves them. And I was like, why? I'm like, what do you mean Jesus loves you? I'm like, you're in a hospital bed. You're not the same person that you were. You're not able to like fully walk. She's like, but I'm still alive. And I was like, yeah, but you're not fully living. She's like, no, God has been so good to me that I'm still alive. I'm still able to see my family. And I think that in itself, because my whole life should always taught us that God is good regardless. But I think in every season when life has really been difficult or when I thought I was going to lose both my parents, it was either God would bring people that would support us, that would carry us, even in my business when I'd think, I'm not going to be able to do this. Something would happen that would just continue to remind me that God is there, even if it feels like he isn't. But I think it's through the challenges, all the difficulties that I continue to see the beauty of who God is. And that's what's always fueled my faith.
Did you write the letters? Did you write the letters?
The letters?
The letters?
No, I don't know. I think it was my sister who did. No, it was cards. It was like little Christmas cards because it was Christmas time.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was just like, yeah, let's go do that. And I think it was my sister who got the cards. She was like, Jesus loves you. And she was just giving it to all these people. And I was just like, God.
Yeah, so
That's what I see.
she was constantly looking at the bright side because,
Always.
like I say, sometimes it could have been worse. I mean, if she had passed, that would have been worse. But she had life, and she was grateful for that. And
Just that.
I think it's what we should constantly do. Find that thing to be grateful for constantly. And your faith has really you don't go out there preaching to people, but few of your clients just listening to you have inspired them to come back to say, look, I don't go to church and all of that, which is quite commendable, I must say, honestly. If there is a young girl, either in Zimbabwe, in Nigeria, or in South Africa, or here in the UK, an African girl listening now, and she is at this moment unsure, feels underestimated, feels maybe hopeless, what would you say to her right now?
I would say if God has created you, he's created you for a purpose. Even if it doesn't look like things are going well right now, the fact that you're alive, the fact that you're breathing is enough. I think for me, that's always the thing that gives me hope that God woke me up this morning. Even if I've had so many moments where life seemed so bleak and I was just like, I do not have the strength. And even those times where I think my only prayer was amen. Like I physically did not have the words. I used to just wake up and I would take a deep breath. I'm like, God, amen. Because I have nothing else to say. But the fact that every single day God kept waking me up, I believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel. It might not come now, but there's another thing that I realized that if the seasons that we see physically can change, the seasons that we face in life can also change because no season can last forever. Physically, it can't. So if God has created the outside world to have balance, like we have spring, we have summer, what of us, the people that he's actually created and he said, okay, you are my child. I don't think he would allow you to go through a season that he knows would fully break you. Even if it feels like it, every season must come to an end.
Lovely. Lovely. I hope they take that. Yeah. So looking ahead, what is a big dream for Ace of Braids, and what kind of impact do you see the brand making in the nearest or distant future?
I would love to obviously make it go global. I want Black people to really feel pampered. Like when you go to a salon, you're not just coming to get your hair done, you're coming in for an actual experience. That when you come in, you don't just feel good, but you actually look good. So as every single client, whether it's a boy, whether it's a girl, whatever you want to identify as, I want a safe space that people can come in and they know that that is a space for them. And even little kids, when they're at school, I want them to be excited to come get their hair and to know that I'm going to the salon today, and they can make a day trip out of it. For mothers who are exhausted to come find rest, for men who even just want a little grooming. But I just want a space that continues to cater to us as people, especially feeling beautiful, because again, how you look is going to impact how you feel internally. So if I could work with brands, even I was thinking like homeless shelters for women who have been like through domestic abuse, just everyone, because I don't think there should be a specific group of people that are allowed to feel pampered. I think everyone should have that opportunity. So if I could do that globally, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think you have the right steps in the right direction, because I've not been to Ace of Braids. Well, looking at it from what I've seen on Instagram, if anyone steps into Ace of Braids, I think they have that feeling. I just think so. They have that feeling, oh, I'll be pampered in this place.
I had
Because it
someone
looks
say
really
that.
welcoming.
Yeah.
It looks warm and nice and welcoming and highly inspired. Because, I mean, those little write-ups on the wall could actually inspire you. It gets you busy, like, okay, you're looking at things too, and your mind is going
Exactly,
somewhere.
subconsciously, because I
Yeah.
think one thing I even learned business-wise, the smell, the sight, and even the touch. So I made sure to have like really nice fragrance that when you come in, when you come in and you smell it, you're like, oh, okay, I can relax, because that's what you should feel when you walk in. And I always ask, what would I like to feel when I'm stepping into a salon? So if I want to feel relaxed, I want to feel pampered, let me create an atmosphere that any person that walks in, which when people do come in, this is so calm in here, and you can't hear the outside world. So I wanted it to be like a little sanctuary that when you come in, you literally just take a deep breath. Because I think on one of the walls, it literally says breathe. So I want you to just breathe, come in, get pampered, relax, realize that you are beautiful and someone sees you, and then you can go about the rest of your day.
Lovely. So beyond braiding, do you cut men's hair?
I used to, but no.
Why?
I think because with the salon, it does cater to both men and women. But I felt like if I had like a barber, I was cutting hair, I think it would just take away like that feminine feel. And I'm like, men can still come in and they'll still feel like it's not just for women. But if I'm cutting hair, you've got the clippers, you've got the hair all over the floor. And I was just like, let me just create a little nice safe space for me. Because there's loads of barbers.
Yeah. Actually.
So I was like, the men have everything that they need. Let me just give a little space for the women.
Yeah.
The men can come join.
So the men just come to braid their hair,
Yes.
and women obviously come to braid their hair. So, I mean, if you're in town in Newcastle, please check out Ace of Braids. It's phenomenal. I've not been there, but trust me, go on Instagram and see what Ace of Braids is. It's phenomenal, really.
Thank you.
And so, honestly, I'll say well done, because you've done for, at this level, you've done so many beautiful things, and it only shows that it's a vision that has been carried onwards. Yeah. So we've talked about African possibility for you and what it represents, because there are a lot of people who feel we're talking about amplifying Africans and their voices, Africa and the voices of Africans. How can we amplify our voices, especially as creators in the United Kingdom or beyond?
I think by working together.
Yeah.
I think everyone always wants to do things by themselves. And I think this is where I'd always seen a lot of, I don't even want to say, like when it comes to the African community, as individuals, we're so talented.
Yeah.
But I think if we came together as a whole, we'd be able to create so much more, because someone's always said, if someone's at the top and they can lift their hand down, they can help you get back up easier. But if you're just climbing up by yourself and you don't want anyone to help you, you might get there quickly, but it's going to be a lot harder. And I think for you to amplify something, you need support. So if you want your voice to be louder, if you're just shouting by yourself, you'll be heard, but not that far away. And if you've got more people that come together, then there's more power, there's more strength in numbers. So I think if we all found a way to work together to support each other and let go of this mindset that I have to do this by myself, I think we'd be able to get a lot further, even a lot quicker as well.
Yeah, just like you said earlier, if we have other people coming up to set up salons, we all win together.
Exactly.
And that is very important, that we collaborate rather than compete. And it's so important. When you look at Africans and our hair, why is the hair of an African important to them? And this is for both male and female. I don't braid my hair. I see a lot of, I love it when I see men do it. It's really beautiful. Why is that? I know it's some form of identity. Why is the hair, especially for the women now, why is our hair so important to us?
I think it tells a story. But I think even if you go back to the Bible, it was Samson with his hair, wasn't it? Yeah. So everyone always knows like there's some sort of strength that comes from your hair anyways. But I think with your hair, it can tell a story. You can tell what some women have been through based on their hair. A lot of women, if they're going through a breakup, they'll cut their hair and start again, or like dye it or change it. But I think even if we go all the way back to slavery, I remember I did a little bit of research where like they would draw like maps with the cornrows and they'd figure out how to like navigate through the cornfields and stuff like that. But when it comes to your hair, when I was younger, I'd have people touching my hair and they'd be like, your hair texture is so different. And it made me feel weird. And I was like, am I different? But my hair is exactly the same as yours. Yeah. The texture might be a little bit different. But I think it's always been something that would be looked at and be like, oh, can I touch your hair? Can you feel your hair? And it's like, no, but this is my hair. This is part of my identity. And I think from that as well, I think we wanted to just create something that was for ourselves, something that we could enjoy and that we can express ourselves. And it's fun. Like every month you can do a different hairstyle, but it's part of who we are.
So have you had non-Africans completely come to the salon?
Yeah.
Why? What's the motivation?
I think, because I've always encouraged it though. I'm like, come, you can come, whatever style you want to do, whatever way you want to. Because I think, again, everyone should feel beautiful. But I think a lot of the clients as well, they are very respectful because like, I don't want to like appropriate. And I was like, no, it's fine. You can come get your hair done. But just obviously know the correct terms that you're calling it. This isn't a Kim Kardashian braids. Like these are cornrows. These are box braids. But I think everyone just wants... Because again, it's a maintenance style, so you can use it to maintain your hair. So during summer, you can put your hair in braids. But then there's also certain styles that I've said it's not suitable for your hair because Afro hair is quite coarse and it's a lot stronger. So we can handle certain braid types. But if your hair is more on the silkier side or to European or Caucasian, braids might tend to snap it and then cause more damage. So if it's like a festival and they want to get their hair done, I'm like, yes. But in terms of like a maintenance style, I'm like, you don't actually need it for your hair. But I'm more than happy to do a style for you that would suit you and that would benefit your hair because I wouldn't want anything that's going to cause further damage.
So Ace of Braids is now, I don't know if to say rebranded to Graced Beauty.
No, so House of Ace rebranded to Graced Beauty. So I'm still Ace of Braids as a standalone business, but we've got Graced Beauty because my name Nyasha means the grace of God. And I wanted the beauty of that like put together. And it is a beauty salon. So me and my friend, we came up with Grace Beauty that were like, if we're to ever franchise, we could franchise the salon as Grace Beauty. But I think Ace of Braids, because I do just braids. Well, I do other stuff, but my main thing is braids. So if I had the salon as Ace of Braids, people would think it's literally just a braiding salon. But if me as a like separate entity, if I'm to travel, work with other brands, I could identify as Ace of Braids. And then the salon, Grace Beauty, would work as just a salon in like different locations.
Yeah, so what are the other things now that Grace Beauty has?
Right now we've just got nails, we've got colouring, we've got a girl that does natural hair services. In the old salon we did used to have lashes and skincare, but this one I did downsize and I was like, I just wanted something smaller and manageable. And because it's on a busy street, we do get a lot of walk-ins, so people can just walk in, get their nails done, get their feet done, get a hair colour, and then they're good to go.
Oh, great. So when Nyasha is not at work, how does she unwind?
I like to travel. Yeah, so my friends, I think there was a time where I was out the country like every other week. So like people would be like, are you in the country? Every week, are you in the country? Can I book a hair appointment? Are you around? Because I was just like, if I'm not working, I do not want to be in the UK. So it's either I think lately, the last year, this is the longest I've gone without going on holiday. So I've started going to like the Lake District. I'll go to a different city. I like to go eat. Just something that allows me to chill. But if I'm on holiday, you won't see me doing activities. I just want to unwind, switch off my phone, probably sleep, and just relax.
So what kind of places have you been to?
I've been to Zimbabwe a lot. There was a time where I was there like every other week.
Really?
Every other month. I think I'd go for like 2-3 months, come back for 2 months, go again for 2-3 months, and then
It's a
come
long
back.
trip all the way.
Yeah, but I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
But I've been to Dubai. I've been to Morocco. I've been to Malta. I think there was a year I did 10 trips in 1 year because I was just like, I want to go. So that was the year where I just went to so many different places. I
Are
went
you
to
going
France.
like every month?
No, literally, it was every single month because I think my goal was to do 12 countries.
Wow.
But I did 10 and I really enjoyed that. And then I think last year I did 3. And then this year I've not been on any holidays.
Wow. So is it getting easier now?
I think so. And I think it was just getting stable again because especially with the new salon, how so much stuff went wrong. So I was just like, let me relax. But I think from next month, sorry to my clients, I'm traveling again. Like everyone had PTSD. They're like, can you please not leave the country? Yeah. So now they're like, yes, we've got her in the country. And I was like, no, I'm leaving.
Oh, that's good. So with our signature question, that is usually is a tradition we have in the podcast to ask you the signature question. Okay. So when you think of the future of Africa, what is that one possibility that gives you the most hope?
I think if this was like, I don't want to even say wishful thinking because I don't want to think that it's not possible. But I think we could have a country like, not even like Japan, but you know, those really advanced countries where they've got all of these systems in place. Because I'm like, we've got the minerals, we've got the talent, we've got the skills. And I think I saw on Twitter yesterday actually where someone was like, with all the minerals that are even being discovered, if it was not going into like the government and the corruption, it would literally be like Wakanda. It would be like one of those places that you can go to because we've got the light, we've got the food, we've got all of these things that I would love if African people could just come together and decide to build ourselves and then continue to build, and then we can create a country where we're actually able to thrive, that we're not having to run back and forth or like build somewhere else, that we can actually build in our own homes and create something that is long-standing.
Yeah, that's what I believe. I believe that in spite of the pain back at home, corruption, bad governance and bad government, and all of those things back at home, back in Africa, as Africans, we can still do more. We can still, I was saying earlier that we could work locally, but think globally. Whatever you're doing locally, back at home, back in Africa, it must have a global perspective that you could compete with anyone in any part of the world. And we've got all of that. We've got the skills, we've got the resources, we've got the mindset and all of that. And I hope we get it right. I'm very positive about Africa getting it right. I'm very positive. And my positivity is more on the fact that across the different parts of the world, we've got Africans like you doing crazy things, crazy in the sense of changing the world in their own way, right? So from the northern hemisphere to the southern parts, across the world, we have Africans with bright minds and ideas doing great things. All right, so we're rounding up now. I'll ask you the last guest left a question for you. I'm going to ask you that.
Okay.
And you will have a turn to leave your question for the next guest who you may not know.
Okay.
So the last guest said, if you weren't who you are, who would you be?
I don't know. If I wasn't. That's the thing. I don't know because I think I've always just known myself to be who I am. I've never
You
thought.
probably have studied psychology.
I think I know myself. No, I think it's such a hard question because I think the type of person that I am, I get bored so quickly as well. So if I hadn't done hair, I probably would have built another business doing something though, because I've always just had this drive where I'm like, I can't sit still. I have to be doing something. So if I wasn't who I am, is it in terms of the business or just me in general?
Yeah, you in general, completely.
Maybe I'd probably just be a housewife that sits at home every day and eats grapes. If I wasn't working so hard, yeah, I think I'll just be chilling on a beach somewhere and just relaxing. Yeah.
So, last question now. Whose story do you want to hear? And who do you want to see sitting there telling that story?
Story. Oh, actually, Made in Case.
Made
in Case. Yeah, he's got a really interesting story as well.
He's here in Newcastle?
Yeah, he's the barber on Westgate Road.
Well, we'll see to that. Thank you very much,
Thank
Nyasha.
you for having me.
It's my pleasure.